Business is picking up. We are live. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content, part of Houston football with SNL, which you can hear Monday through Friday, see and hear Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central, right here on YouTube. Texans on their way to Detroit. Cody Stutes is on the scene. We'll have boots on the ground tomorrow on SNL. Today's practice, really not a lot to report to you. Basically a walkthrough, and really they're going in regular season form when it comes to the media policy, is what I was told. So the Texans right now, they're kind of in regular season mode. Tomorrow's going to be a very, very intense practice, we anticipate. But hopefully it's not too intense, and hopefully they're icing guys up and getting ready for the regular season. I want to present the 2/3 theory, the Texans 2/3 theory. And there's two questions that I have in regards to this theory. Question number one is 66.6% of elite enough? And by that, I mean, I'm combining this to the 2/3. Obviously, 66.6% is 2/3. If the Texans are elite in two of the three phases, so let's say the defense is elite, which we strongly anticipate. Let's say that the offense is elite, which we are the special teams is elite, which we've kind of become accustomed to. Is that enough to lower the pressure on the offense to where the offense can perform at a realistic level in order to achieve success of getting into the upper tier? Like, let's say that the defense is top 5, and let's say the special teams are top 5. What would then be required of the offense? And do you have the confidence that this offense would be able to do what it needs to do for the Texans to maybe top 3 team in the AFC, competing in the AFC championship game? How much can the offense? How much would the offense have to do in that situation? And I think it's set up pretty nicely for the Texans in that manner, because I don't think there's much of a doubt that the defense is going to be top 5. The special teams, the standard's pretty high there. Frank Ross has a pretty good grasp on things. And then the offense, I think there will be some struggles. I think there'll be times where the offense goes through some pretty rough stretches. I still anticipate that the offensive line is going to go through some struggles. I think the honeymoon phase right now is going to eventually die down. But I think the defense is going to be so good, and the special teams is good enough to where if CJ Stroud struggles through 3 quarters, they might put him in position to where he just has to flip the switch. Because I don't think there's really been this good of a feeling about the offense in a long time. Now, it's been pretty bad. But Cole Popovich has been doing his thing.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
They are going against base defenses, though. And we don't know what the offense is going to look like. So is 66.6% of elite enough? Have they lowered the expectations? When they talk about complementary football, are the compliments to the offense so good that the expectations kind of go down when it comes to what this team can and will do? And maybe this question can't be answered right now. Maybe we're going to need like 7 days to be able to get a better grasp of that. Because the Joe Mixon question right now is the number one question with the Texans. Is Joe Mixon going to be ready to go? Is this running back committee good enough to be able to hold it down? They've gotten some breaks. The Texans have gotten some breaks. You look at what's happened in the offseason when it comes to the Texans the first 2 weeks. If you're talking about stacking wins, you're talking about the tough the tough games on the schedule. First 2 weeks, Matthew Stafford banged up. The Rams offensive line banged up. Baker Mayfield going to be without one of the best left tackles in the league, it looks like. So you've gotten some breaks that kind of equalize and lay out any potential Joe Mixon absence. The question is, can the complementary football be enough for the offense to be able to be good enough for the Texans to be elite? And we're talking about this team. We're not talking about divisions. And I know DeMeco Ryans is looking to be the first coach in Texans history to win 3 straight division titles. That would be awesome. He's looking to be the first coach in Texans history to make the playoffs 3 times. That would be great. But they're past that. They're past that. Bill O'Brien got past that to where it was like, okay, we don't care about your division titles. That whole, it doesn't matter, AFC South champs, that shit didn't really fly. So I don't think it should fly with DeMeco. So when the Texans are spoken of right now, it's about getting to that next step. And I think 66.6% of the football team has potential to be really elite. And I think the offense can be okay. There are some intriguing things. And the thing that I think is the most impressive about this offense here in the locker room and on the super chat, shout out to HDAV Traveler, per the use, doing his thing.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
A man that likes to roll on 2 wheels. HDAV Traveler. Shout out to you, mi amigo, up there in A-Town. But I think the most fascinating thing about this offense when it comes to where the Texans are and how you feel about things is all the reports around the NFL. And we saw Sky Moore traded to the San Francisco 49ers today from the Chiefs. God, I thought he was going to be good. But Diana Rossini says this, and it seems like there's a lot of teams that are in this company, that the Jets were among several teams monitoring the trade market for potential wide receiver additions. 49ers and Vikings also made calls, and obviously the 49ers made a call and made a trade, per Diana Rossini. Do you remember? Because it was a long time ago. But do you remember when the Texans, when they ended the season, the only receivers that they had that were actually going to be on the team this upcoming season were Nico Collins, Xavier Hutchinson, and John Mechie? That was all they had. That was all they had on the roster. Xavier Hutchinson, Nico Collins, and John Mechie. That was all they had. And the Texans just traded a wide receiver, John Mechie. And the question is not, what is the depth like? It's like, do they keep 6 or 7 guys? Are they going to keep 6 or 7 guys? And I think the most impressive thing about what they've done with the wide receiver position in a very short time is, and this is always how I rate and grade a healthy organization, especially the one that I cover on a daily basis and that I've covered for 10 plus years, like I have the Texans, is, do they do it in multiple ways? In other words, there's some organizations that are good at, let's say, drafting. Rick Smith was good at drafting in the first round. Not so good after that. There was exceptions, but for the most part, it was kind of imbalanced. Had some good free agent hits and had some massive free agent misses. But if you look at what the Texans have done in building the wide receiver position and adding depth at a position where a large chunk of the teams in the league are looking for guys, they drafted Nico Collins a few years back, developed him, paid their own guy. They saw someone who was going to get it released in Jacksonville, and they brought him to town.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
They got Christian Kirk, and they brought him in. He appears to be clearly wide receiver 2. They brought in some second to third tier free agent guys to add to the mix in Braxton Berrios and Justin Watson. And then in the draft, they drafted Jaden Higgins and they drafted Jalen Knoll, who kind of fell into their lap as a result of some of the extra draft equity that they added. And oh, by the way, perhaps the most impressive development, just based on what we've seen in camp, we don't know if this is going to translate to the field, is one of those guys that you didn't feel awesome about last year after the season. Well, I'll be damned, players can get better. Might not happen on the offensive line here, but I'll be damned, players can get better. And Xavier Hutchinson right now in camp has been wide receiver 3, and he looks fantastic. To the point where if they knew they were getting this, I don't know if their plans change in the draft or in free agency, but that's one of the most biggest pleasant surprises of all. So I think they deserve a lot of credit. Like Nick Caserio, do I need to give Nick Caserio some flowers? Nick Caserio deserves some flowers. He's done a good job, and DeMeco Ryans have done a good job of improving the wide receiver position to the point where, as we're talking about this 2/3 theory, and we're talking about the Texans perhaps being elite in 2 out of 3 areas, you feel probably better about the wide receivers than you do any other skill position, right? I'm not sitting here saying that it's going to be the best wide receiving group in the world, but there's a lot of upside. Like there's a hell of a lot of upside with this wide receiver group. There's some youth. There's guys where the arrow's pointing up. There's guys that do different things. There's a big mix. And now you feel better about the wide receivers than you do the backs because you don't know what's going to happen with Joe Mixon. You don't know how Nick Chubb's going to look in an actual game. You don't know how he's going to hold up. You don't know what to expect from Dameon Pierce. Woody Marks is a young player. Looks like receiving is probably his strength, although I would like to see him get to run a little bit. And Dare Ogunbowale has just kind of hung around because of what he's done and because of how poor they've managed running backs. So you feel better about the wide receivers than the backs. Then the tight ends, okay, Dalton Schultz coming off one of the more disappointing seasons of his career, and then you have Cade Stover, and then after that, Brevin Jordan's down, and you're just trying to find playable guys after that. They've made the wide receiver group, and maybe this isn't a good thing depending on how you look at it. I think it's impressive in that area. Maybe it speaks to the other skill positions, but I think you would feel good about these receivers no matter what. They've made it the strength of the skill position until further notice with Joe Mixon, and we're all on standby when it comes to that. Speaking of standby, Cody Stutes has officially landed in Detroit. We'll be eating Mom's Spaghetti. We will get the review of Mom's Spaghetti likely Friday on SNL at 4:00. So subscribe to that channel. Be sure to ride along. It's in the description. But that's you feel good about the skill position, guys. The offensive line still to be determined. This is as good as you felt about the offensive line, but we don't know what that's going to look like once stunts are thrown into the equation, although it does seem like they're stunning a little bit or were in practice. And we got to see how these guys, they decide to line up and where they struggle. The offensive line is definitely shaping up. And I almost wonder if the emphasis on the media policy going back to the regular season, and I know that it's always a thing. I wonder if they're a little bit paranoid that maybe the Ursary mystery appears to be kind of clear. They're working him out on the left side. He's not on the right. At least he wasn't when Cam Robinson returned to practice. So is Ursary going to be your starting left tackle? I think there's a chance. I think they kind of want to keep that a little bit close to the vest, but the offensive line's shaping up. Is it going to be a really good offensive line? Wouldn't bet on it. Will be some struggles. But again, it was a terrible offensive line last year, and you were a 10-win team. I think the defense gets better. I think the special teams get better. I think the game plan could get better, kind of like what you see so far from Nick Caley. Don't know how he's going to attack it. But I think they're setting themselves up to where the offense be able to do some things. Be able to do some things for sure. Primetime V says Hutch being wide receiver 3 is not a knock on Higgins. It takes time for a wide receiver to develop, and Hutch is an example you can use to make the case. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what Higgins is going to look like in a game. I don't know how they're going to use him. He's not Nico Collins. Like, they're not the same type of guy. I think in the red zone, you're going to Higgins is going to be a factor. I think they'll probably line him out right and line Collins up left, if I was to guess. But yeah, the Hutch development is not a knock on Higgins. He's just gotten better. Like, it's not anything, like, it's not like you look at Higgins and say, man, he looks awful. He looks like a rookie. But he's had some really good moments. But Hutchinson's just played well. He doesn't even look like the same guy. It's almost like he saw that his little bro, which is what Noel was at Iowa State. He and Higgins didn't play together, but Noel was there when he was there. They went off on Texas until Hutchinson dropped the ball. They damn near beat Texas. But it's almost like he saw these guys that were more jacked than he was heading into the league, and he just decided he had to get in the weight room and get his weight up. He couldn't let the little bros come through and do their thing. But he's developed, man. He's developed. We'll see what it looks like in a game. But he's looking good. He's looking more confident. But yeah, it's definitely not a knock on Higgins. I would agree with that 100%. It's not at all. And we'll see how it goes. Sideline Sarah says, do you think Cam Robinson could get traded if he's a backup? Just thinking he'd be upset not starting when he could on another team. No, I don't think so. And I don't know how many teams he would start on, to be honest with you. I think he's good. I mean, he's a serviceable guy, but I don't think so. And I think it would be stupid of them to do it, quite frankly. I mean, I would probably be pissed if I were him, if I wasn't starting, but it's just one of those things. He's going to make the money no matter what. Could still end up playing some left tackle, even with Ursery out there. But no, I don't think you trade him. I don't think there's much trade value there for Cam Robinson. I don't think you could get anything that could warrant that. So no. And then they could end up still starting him on the left side if they so desire. If they decide that's the 5. It just doesn't appear that's the direction they're heading. But yeah. The Rhino says, shout out to the Roadcaster for coming back and stepping up. Yeah, that was an interesting thing. So the Roadcaster, I ended up, if you watched SNL, I had to go Blair Witch for a minute. But I'll show it on my phone. The Roadcaster, which I have two. I have a mini too. I have this and the mini. So I don't have to switch to the mini, and there's no reason for it to happen, but it had this message, which you can't read, but it says the connected power supply cannot provide sufficient power. So it was basically just the power strip where you plug in your cords. I know this is probably too much information, but y'all know how it is on the night stream. Sometimes we on that Marahuchi. And sometimes we just go off on tangents. Every once
high
in a while,
grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
it happens. But yeah, it was just a strip. So yeah, I got a little lucky with that. Would need the offense. Ty says we would need the offense to take advantage of the opportunities the defense is. But yeah, that's complimentary football for sure. Dunny is asking, I'm assuming this is a fantasy football question. What's Joe Mixon's floor and ceiling this year as compared to how he produced last year? I'm worried about him, yet also optimistic. Man, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole if you're talking fantasy. I mean, I wouldn't even consider taking Joe Mixon in fantasy unless we're getting to like the 8th round or something like that. Even then, I don't know that it's going to be a great thing. I don't expect him to do what he did last year. If he does, it's great. But, your head kind of spins when it comes to the injuries. But I don't know what the floor and ceiling is. I would not bet on. I would probably take the under when it comes to, like, if you're saying he's going to rush for 1,000 yards. But yeah, would not. Curtis's podcast network, CPN. Okay. He said, what up, pimpin'? What up, pimpin'? Ursery over Cam Robinson. I'd rather take the lumps with a rookie than take the same lumps with a vet. Yeah, I would agree with you on that, especially if it's close. But we do got to factor in Titus versus Ingram at right guard and what Titus is like compared to Ursary on the right side. So I think it's basically like a 3. Like you have a combination of 3. I don't think it's just the tackles. But I do agree, like if a guy's going to be your left tackle of the future, then do you want to get it going and figure some stuff out there? JW75 says Cam has over 100 starts, has a lot of experience compared to everyone else at LT. I believe he'll be the starter at 12 mil. The money means nothing. That's irrelevant. So that means nothing. Now, before the draft and before we saw what happened in training camp, like you could follow the money and you could say, well, they gave him $12 million, so they expect him to be their left tackle. And that was clearly the original plan. But once you draft a guy that's a better natural left tackle and the guy that has all that tread on the tires goes down and the rookie kind of shows some signs, and some would say maybe even outperformed the vet, it really doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters. I don't think they care about how much experience. I could still see him being the left tackle. I'm not completely, but it is interesting though, and I think y'all would agree that we didn't see Ursary on the right side the other day. So that's got to be taken into account. We didn't even see him on the right side. But the money is irrelevant. The money's spent. What did the business people call? Let me know. Shout out to my business. Is sunk cost the right term for that? Is that what we're calling it? Sunk cost? I don't know the business terms, but yeah. Don't know about that. We have some news on Jimmie Ward from ABC 13. Shout out to Sideline Sarah and everyone in the chat for the stuff. ABC 13, I guess, has the update. So I'll be following this with y'all as we go through it. Let's peep this Jimmie Ward. You got the mug up there, huh? Okay, so here's the story. ABC 13 with the credit. We're all reacting to this together. It says a lawsuit alleges Ward sexually assaulted a woman and was believed to be high on meth, all while their 3-year-old son was inside her home. Instead of finding the football on defense, Texans safety Jimmie Ward now what kind of corny ass line is that? Instead of finding the football on defense, Texans say, who wrote this? Mo Hader. Okay. Instead of finding the football on defense, Texans safety Jimmie Ward now finds himself at the center of a civil lawsuit after being arrested twice. And I mean, what a corny ass line. Why can't he just why is this necessary? I'm not even defending it or anything, defending Jimmie Ward. I mean, we'll see how it shapes out, but instead of finding the football on defense, Texans safety Jimmie Ward now finds himself at the center of a civil lawsuit after being arrested twice in 2 months. All right, we'll move on. According to a lawsuit filed in Harris County, Ward is being accused of both physically and sexually assaulting Christy West multiple times this year. It says West and the Texans defensive back were together for years and share a 3-year-old son. Court records show Ward was arrested on June 12th for domestic assault charge. While investigators didn't provide specific details at the time, according to the lawsuit, he barged into West's home in Montgomery County, and his behavior was described as erratic and aggressive. On that night, she suspected he was under the influence, so she's suspecting this of crystal meth. That crystal meth, okay. I don't know, but crystal meth. That same day, the lawsuit says Ward slapped and choked West, all while their son was asleep. In the lawsuit, West claims that Ward threatened to kill her and force her to perform a sex act. Ward jumped out of the bed and began searching for her phone, accusing her of talking to other men. The lawsuit says West then grabbed his son. Ward was eventually arrested and landed behind bars after an incident earlier this month where he was accused of drinking and contacting her, while investigators say, which they say violated it. So, I mean, what are we doing here though? With instead of finding the football on defense, what are we doing here, Mo? Yeah. So this is just kind of journalism stuff, and I think this is important. It was really it's good to have the journalism degree. Rest in peace, Robert Wernsman. Shout out to Pete Bruton. Shout out to the TTU School of Mass Comm, as well as a lot of mentors in journalism. So a lot of times whenever headlines come out and you read them, you got to kind of know how to separate like fact and opinion. Fact and opinion is a really important exercise. I wish there were more classes on fact and opinion, because a lot of times opinions are presented as fact, especially like in the political climate and the climate of like a lot of media with like agendas and stuff. But whenever they say according to a lawsuit, that's someone accusing someone. So it's gonna be the worst case scenario. Now, if it says according to the DA or according to the like what the charges are against him, that's different. But there's a big difference between this and that. And we kind of put it to practice with the Deshaun thing, because there was a lot of stuff, but you kind of have to make that clear. I think a lot of times there's people who are in sports media who don't really like have those journalistic principles. I'm not being on my soapbox. I'm just saying like it's just a responsible way to read stuff. Because now like a lot of people will read that and say, "Oh, did you hear what Jimmie Ward did according to the?" Oh, no, it's a different lawsuit. So it's not good for him. I don't know how DeMeco is going to handle it, but it is important to read stuff the correct way. Whenever you're reading that. So that's according to what she says. That's according to like what she's saying. When they say according to a lawsuit, that's according to what she's saying, like what she's accusing him of. So there's always going to be like kind of the worst light of that. So do with that what you will. He did get arrested and he is charged. So obviously things are not good for him. That's where it's really something that you just kind of say, okay, well, that's tough. But when we're talking about civil and all that type of stuff, it's a little weird. And so some people don't even really touch it unless it just gets really crazy. So I was always as fair as I could be, even to Deshaun when that whole thing was going on. But that's really what the Jimmie thing is. It's kind of a separate type of thing. It's kind of a combination of the legal stuff, and then that's according to the lawsuit. But the question that we've been asking after that Jimmie Ward news is, how good does the Texans offense need to be? Do you think they need to be a top 20? Do you think top 20 would be enough? Top 15? Maybe CJ Stroud just needs to be clutch. How good do they need to be, given the fact that we expect the defense and special teams to be elite? It's a 2/3 theory for the Texans. Let's hear from old DeMeco. DeMeco kind of going, I think he went a little bit hardo today, from what I hear. Didn't watch the press conference. I'm watching it with y'all for the first time. Let's hear what old DeMeco had to say before he hopped on that plane and went to Detroit. I heard this was a funny back and forth between he and Aaron Wilson. Let's ring the bell. DeMeco versus Aaron Wilson. Here we go.
And we're really excited to get to Detroit and go against the Lions. We talked about all week. It'd be a great opportunity for us to go and compete against a really good football team, competitive team, looking to see where we stack up versus this team. So very excited to get to work.
How much can you tangibly take away from the joint practice in the office?
The main thing is we get different looks, different schemes. We go against different players. So the main thing for us is just for guys to see something different, All right, we've been going through camp for a while now, seeing the same thing. We were able to get some different looks versus the Panthers last week. I thought it was very beneficial to our guys. It brings up multiple conversations about different concepts, offensively and defensively, and it sparks conversation, right? And it helps us when it comes to further down the line, how we game plan and what adjustments we need to make. So we gain a lot from that internally when we were able to join practice.
All right, I'm going to go basic media guy. I'm going to ask DeMeco a question. Coach, what's it going to be like to finally get to hit somebody else? Y'all tired of hitting each other? All right, back to
No, it's a practice. It's nothing to test. It's a practice. We're going to suit up, be ready. Our test always comes in the games.
Damn, he's minimizing it.
Campbell's going to be great to work with, talk with him for a while, really like his style, how he operates. Intense coach, always has his team prepared, and he changed that program around, right, to make them relevant again. So really, look up to him and what he's done with that program and where he's led that team. He's doing a great job of leading, added a ton of great talent to his team. So it's a competitive team that we know they'll be playing deep in the playoffs this year. Yeah, he's a former player. I'm a former player.
He didn't bite the hook. He didn't bite the hook on the connection. I love the DeMeco fake laugh with A-Dub.
Yeah, he's a former player. I'm a former player. Yeah, we've set where we'll be. Kaylee will be down, calling plays. He felt comfortable being down. Thought just him and how he operates on the sideline, just being able to talk and connect with the guys, which he does a really good job of. I think him being down there, the guys can feel his energy, feel his passion for the game, and we can get things resolved very quickly there. So really felt good about last week versus the Panthers when he was down. Felt the flow of communication from him, our staff, our players. Everybody was in sync, and we were able to, really be ahead of things before they popped up. So I think it's a good move for him being down, calling the plays.
Yeah. Did DeMeco want it?
Ooh, that's a great question. Derek definitely has some of the best hands that I've seen from the corner perspective. You can throw in, Coach Prime, some great hands as well. But Derek, he's a unique player. He's very talented, very gifted. And for me, what I'm most
like, Derek Stingley is such a freak that, first of all, this is like something you just observed. That's like just when, even on BS days, but like if you watch the guys throwing on like the sidelines, and we'll get back to DeMeco in a sec, but like Derek Stingley can fling that bitch. Like he can throw the rock. And the way that he can catch the ball is absolutely batshit crazy. It's insane. The other day, he did this twice in a row. Like the first time I was like, did you see that? And Stoots didn't see it. This was in West Virginia. So someone throws the ball to him. He lets it go like close to the ground. And then he goes down with a full-size football and catches the ball like this, going down, like just like a snatch, like almost like he's rowing a boat, just like grabs that shit and did it twice in a row. He's an absolute freak athlete that can do anything in football.
What's encouraged about, you see from when I first got here to see where Stingley has grown to and what he's become, it's very impressive to watch, to see the growth of a player, the development of him, and for him to be just the top of his craft, top of the game as a cornerback position. Like, he's done an outstanding job. To that point about Cam Robinson, he missed time. I know you watched.
Cody's asking about Cam Robinson.
For the veteran guys, it doesn't take long to catch up. Cam has played a lot of football throughout his career, so that road to getting back and playing football, it's easier for those guys because he's banked a lot of reps. So really trust a guy like Cam because of his veteran experience, exposure that he's had in games. So really not concerned with him, the amount of time that he's missed, more so just thankful that it wasn't as severe as it first looked for Cam.
What about seeing different schemes and different looks and how that sparks conversations and for adjustments that you would like to make? Where do you feel the team is at right now with the season around the corner and what you would like to improve into?
Yeah, we're getting ready for the season. I mean, we've worked very hard in training camp. Our team has grinded through some really tough days. And we just got to put it all together, right, and go play when the regular season hits. I'm excited for the regular season to get here. I know our team is excited for that moment, right, when it really counts. And that's what we're looking forward to right now.
He's ready to go. He's going to sleep on the plane.
To that point about Nick Haley deciding to call plays on the sideline, one of the things that we've heard from players about him is the energy. How much did that maybe factor into the decision about being able to see him and feel him and something that clearly is one of his skill sets to be able to get him on the side of the sidelines?
For Kaylee and his personality and what he brings, when it comes to calling plays, it's just a matter of where the play caller feels that he can be most effective to help our team win games. And whether it's up or down, it's just about putting the players in the right spot, making the proper adjustments, putting us where we need to be in position to win games. And that's ultimately what the decision comes down to.
The squad's been together, obviously, for months now in the offseason. We're wrapping up the preseason in a very difficult period. Although excited, countdown to reopening, as a coaching staff, you've got to tell people it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Walk me through what that's like, preparing for that, and got to know some of a lot of these guys.
Great question, Randy. At this point in time of training camp, it's the most difficult time for me because you have 90 guys who've been here since OTA. Some guys been working out here since February, in the building, nonstop, putting the work in to make the team. And sometimes you lose sight of how we're trying to build this camaraderie, we're trying to build this team. But on the flip side of that, you do have to tell some guys no. And for me as a coach, it's the toughest part of my job is having to tell a guy no, not at this time. But the thing I love about our group is we got 90 guys, and I would love to keep all 90 guys in some way or fashion. All right, we do get 16 practice squad players, so we're looking forward to being able to keep those extra 16 guys around. But it's tough. It's tough when you're in the position of having to tell a guy who worked his entire life, it's been his dream since childhood to make an NFL roster and be an impact player, but to be able to tell him no is difficult for me. Still, it never gets easy. But the players do a great job of handling that by being, just want to know, hey, what can I do to get better? What are the steps for me to make a team? Where do you see I need to improve? And we have a lot of guys who ask that question, and I'm happy to give them the advice that I think that can help them out. And my role, my biggest thing for all of our guys is how do I help and assist players to make the NFL? It may not be our 53-man roster here with the Texans, but there are 31 other teams. Can I help those guys in any way make their dreams a reality? And that's why I care deeply about the guys. I want to see them succeed wherever it is. It may not be here in Houston, but it could very well be somewhere else.
For a first-time play caller, can you just take us back to when you were first calling plays? Not sure where were you looking at, but what kind of process was learning where to look at when you're down?
Talking about the play calling first time, DJ BNMA.
How plays are going.
With the play caller, one thing you have to understand is never on one guy. And that's why we have a coaching staff full of experienced coaches that are doing a lot of different things. A lot of people's eyes are in different places, so it's how you deploy your assistant coaches and how you utilize the guys around you. We have a great staff on offense, defense, and special teams who are all one. We all work together. It's never on one man. All right, and I can't do this. I can't stand up here and be the coach that I am without my assistant coaches helping me, assisting me, giving me information. So it's everybody working together. Offensive coaches also help defensive coaches. It's like we do everything we can possible to win games, and it always comes down to the staff working as one.
Take a couple more. It's felt like Derek Singleton Jr. and Nico Collins' rise have been kind of similar. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but being that they've gone up against each other in the past 4 years or so, what have you seen from them as far as
Iron sharpens iron.
DeMeco and Stingley. What I see is two guys. They compete every day. They don't. It's easy when you're some of the best players. It's probably easy to take downs off and go a little. These guys always, constantly, they're going at it. When I talk about iron sharpening iron, not just cliche, but it's truly like these guys want to be better, and they train each other that way. They work hard when they're going against each other. There's no brother-lawing. Like, they go hard, and that makes each guy better. So that's why those guys have ascended in their careers, because they've been able to work across from each other. And both of these guys are the top players at their position across the league. And when you can work against someone of that caliber, it's only going to raise your level of game. Yeah, from building the staff, it seems so long ago, 2023. But I mean, just meeting with Cole, just interviewing him and seeing, how smart Cole was, that really impressed me. Had him up on the board. We're talking a lot of different schemes and things. Like, he was very sharp on it when it came to adjusting and, how he would call things. It was, you can tell very quickly that he was a very bright coach and had a bright future in front of him. So it stood out to me instantly. It wasn't hard to say that I wanted him on the staff.
Last one.
What's up, Wex?
I'm very pleased with how we've handled camp thus far. I think we've done a great job working together, making sure our players are available. And that's the main thing. You want to work as hard as possible, but we also work smart. I'm constantly watching, monitoring guys. I'm watching every rep, not just strategically from a schematic standpoint, but I'm also watching, how guys are moving, what their movement patterns are, how tired guys may be at certain points of practice. Like, I'm constantly watching all of that, and I'm constantly adjusting practice. I have a plan, a script for practice, but that it can change any day, and that's based on just me, my experience, my eyes, just watching the guys and seeing where they are, making sure that we're here for the long haul, right, and not overworking guys and not underworking guys as well. There's a fine balance there, and making sure the guys get what they need. And at training camp is a time to callous yourself for the season. So there is hard work that has to go play. There's sometimes we have to push through and grind, but there also is a balance when, hey, you got to pull it back to make sure guys are fresh and recovered and ready to go for the next day. All right, I appreciate it, guys.
About practice.
I think that's really an interesting thing, because I look at this Lions joint practice, and you know how I am. I'm always, hey, if he doesn't need to play, rest him up. The timing of this practice, I guess you could look at it and say, well, they have a couple weeks before they actually play a game, and I get it, but we just really haven't seen as many rest days for the players, for the starters, as we typically do. And it's just a 100 mile per hour outlook of this team. And I just wonder, like, do they tone it back tomorrow? Like, do the twos maybe see a little bit more action? Do you get a closer look at guys that you think are going to perhaps make the team? I know the rest is going to occur after this. I think after this Lions, it's all downhill. And they really focus on the Rams. They got to make a roster in 5 days now, 53 man, and then they got to work the waiver wire. But I look at this Lions thing. It's like, just get through it. There's going to be some cool things to look at. Derek Stingley versus St. Brown, and how Ursery holds up against that really, really good Lions defense, and all that. And Cody Stutz will have the boots on the ground, and we'll have the best in-depth observations tomorrow on SNL. But it's like, just get through tomorrow and figure some stuff out. And it is good that he feels like there's a balance. I just haven't seen a lot of rest. We've seen some like de facto days off where you're seeing Titus Howard walk through, and then not team. You've seen Jalen Petrie get a couple days after getting dinged up. But there's not like, oh, this guy didn't practice, this guy's on the side. There hasn't been as much, and maybe that speaks to a solid balance for DeMeco and them. Like maybe they're doing like a perfect job of balancing it out. I have noticed that he'll cut some of the periods short, and some of them will go long. So that there does seem to be a balance, and there does seem to be some thought and some organization going into how they're practicing. But for me, it's just get this preseason game over with. Get this joint practice thing over with. Get it over with. It's going to be I don't anticipate these teams like lining up across from each other and it just being some sort of cakewalk. So just get through it, figure it out, and then ice up. Then you got a preseason game to watch. Slovis, Magic, whatever, Mertz, probably throw 3 interceptions. But just get through this because it's a lot, and the timing of it just seems like not the ideal timing for this whole thing to go. I do also wonder, do we see, and I think this will be the main thing to watch. Do we see Christian Harris in some in-game action in a joint practice? Because we've seen him against his own team. But, last time he was held out, we didn't see Fatukasi. We haven't seen Barnett like against another team. Do we see the guys that have recently gotten back? Dameon Pierce. I mean, maybe this is the test for Dameon Pierce. Maybe they're ramping him up for this. Maybe this has been their moment where they're going to evaluate it. We'll know early tomorrow. And Cody Stutes will be able to tell us shortly. Less than 9-10 hours we'll know. But maybe this is the moment where we're going to get to hear about what Dameon Pierce looks like in actual in-game action. Nick Caley makes it seem like when you ask him, like you're talking about like some all-pro. That hadn't been the case. But maybe this is where they're going to evaluate Dameon Pierce. Maybe they don't need to. I feel like they need to. So maybe he gets some action. Fatukasi, Barnett, do you need to see those guys? Do you know what you're getting with them? I would say perhaps you probably need to see them too. Although Derek Barnett still has that grown man strength. He was throwing Ursery around like a rag doll the other day. Total grown man strength. Old number 95 out there. That's really all you're looking for. There's not really a lot of roster mysteries. I'm ready to react to what they decide to do, what they do, and how the whole thing is handled. That's where I'm at this point in camp. You can tell DeMeco's a little over training camp at this point too. He's ready to get it over with. He wants to sit down, get the most difficult part of his job over with. The dreaded cut day, which is going to be Tuesday. We'll have the live reaction. And he wants to get that over with and then go about his business. DeMeco's not interested in the whole any more practices or anything like that. He's ready to get ready for the Rams. And I'm sure they all get tired of camp. He doesn't stop coaching, but I'm sure they all get tired of camp. But you can kind of see it in DeMeco. He's ready to get this done and get the real business going. But we need to see what's up with Dameon Pierce tomorrow. If we don't, then I think things get really interesting. If there is no Dameon Pierce, because maybe they really do trust him that much. Maybe Joe Mixon really is that hurt. That's really what it's going to come down to. Let me know what you think of the 2/3 theory. Do you think that an elite defense and an elite special teams will be enough for the Texans as a football team to be elite? Do you think that the Texans should be in the market for a running back? We talked about that earlier, but we're getting to real crunch time. And you guys know it doesn't stop around here, even during the slow time. But business is about to pick up significantly because we're going to know what the roster is. College football is going to be on the screen. And then we're going to have pro football. And from there, it's just hit the ground running all the way up to the draft. So we've made it. And we'll find out how they're going to approach this joint practice tomorrow. DeMeco Ryans with the fake laugh on Aaron Wilson. That was funny. I'm going to have to give Aaron a hard time about that. Final question. I'm not trying to start controversy, but if you live in Houston, I just have one question. Why does Italian food suck in Houston? I know a lot of you are going to have places that you're going to throw out there, but why does Italian food suck in Houston? And I started thinking about this as me and Cody were talking about Mom's Spaghetti in Detroit. He's going to Detroit. He's going to try the Mom's Spaghetti. Did Eminem sell out, or did he actually get some good spaghetti in the spirit of the 8 Mile song? Cody's going to try it out. Let's be honest. Cody's never had a meal that he disliked, I don't think. I'm just kidding. He's kind of picky, actually. You'd be kind of surprised. But why does Italian food suck in Houston? It's one of the best food cities that there is. You can get good Asian. You can get good Mediterranean. You can get good elite Tex-Mex. You can get steaks. You can get American. You can get pokey. You can get anything you want around here. For some reason, Italian is weak. Italian is weak. It leaves a lot to be desired. I know there's a lot of people that are defending their random ass spot, but even my guy Rafi at Craft Pita, which by the way, Craft Pita going to be in the club section this year at Texans games. They got some special nachos in the wrap. Shout out to Rafi doing his thing. But the Italian food scene's just not good. It's not good at all. Like the Italian food in Houston is like the Texans offensive line last year. Maybe worse. Maybe worse. Just not good. Don't get it. Sure, you can find something functional. Don't threaten me with a good time when it comes to Olive Garden. I'm down with it. But as far as just being able to represent the Italian, Houston, a lot to be desired. Not great. Not great at all. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. We got joint practice tomorrow. They're off Friday. They got the game on Saturday. We'll react to the game on Sunday. Monday is a little practice. Tuesday is cut down day. And then it's just full swing from there. So we got a sprint ahead of us. It was a great day today in my world. I was with the daughter the whole time. I was a super dad. We went to the pool. We hung out, took her to McDonald's. And then we had really good day behind the scenes when it comes to SNL and Houston football. Really good day. And then we kind of had the crash session in during SNL with the Roadcaster and the Power Strip, which is great. Got to keep you grounded. The Power Strip, it's just a Power Strip. It's not the $500 Roadcaster. It's not the computer, anything like that. So it all worked out. Today was a good day. Tomorrow's going to even be better. It's always better. And we're always here. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. SNL Live tomorrow at 4. Not going to be as many play-by-play updates because the Texans are a little bit paranoid. The Lions are even more paranoid. They don't even allow phones to be used to record practice. So there's going to be true observations. Cody has his notepad. And if you want the Lions, Texans observations, you already knew and you already know where to go. 4 o'clock on SNL, we got you covered. You will not get better ones. There's no one I trust more than Cody to get those obs. So we got the best boots on the ground possible, and we got you covered. It's going to be a fun time. Let's feast. Let's eat. When we do eat, we damn sure can't eat Italian in Houston. Holla.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Ayy. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.